All right, guys, let's go out to the guest line and bring in our first guest in the history of this program. That's very exciting. I mean, maybe you can argue the technicalities because we did a couple of pre-recorded test shows earlier this week. So some might claim that Alfredo Arteaga was actually the first guest on the show. We will let the courts decide that. But the first live guest in the history of this program is one of our great people covering the Miami Dolphins, Louis D. Sung, here from the 5 Reasons Sports Network, joins us. And Louis and I, we get along pretty well, even though we disagree on our pizza toppings. You knew I had to bring this up, Louis. He's a pineapple on pizza guy. I am a pizza purist. I love pineapple. I love pizza, just not together. And yet we still get along, man. How are you, Louis?
I'm doing well, my friend. How are you?
I'm doing so well, man. So first and foremost, I think the biggest news today is Xavien Howard is not practicing. They say it's a minor injury. Are you conspiracy minded? Do you think there's more to this story?
He's fine. He's not hurt. He's just playing the whole, I hurt myself, so I can't practice. And there's no way the doctors are going to be able to prove it. So if that's what he wants to do, fine. You know what? At the end of the day, when the season starts, he's going to have to play. Otherwise, he's not going to get that accrued season on his contract. So he's going to have to suck it up and get over it eventually.
What did you think about his the statement that he released? Because I thought it was very one-sided and it was full of a lot of half-truths, right? When he talked about the way the Dolphins have treated him. Do you think that releasing that and releasing those words was the right tactical move for him to force a trade?
It was the right tactical move for the Dolphins. Not for him, but for the Dolphins, he looks pretty good now. Because let's be real about something. Number one, and this is something that Alfredo Arteaga pointed out the other night when he was on the extra yard with Kai and them, is that, first of all, Xavien Howard did not necessarily shadow the team's best wide receiver. And against the Buffalo Bills, that was Byron Jones, not him. So Xavien Howard is not a very good slot cornerback. So if you put Stephon Diggs in the slot, Howard's not going to follow him there. So there you go. That's point number one. Point number two, this whole concept of the fact that he basically said that I didn't understand what I was signing. I didn't realize what this was going to be. Okay, that doesn't make you look smart. It actually makes you look very, very dumb because you had to put your pen to paper in order for it to qualify. So that's number two. Point number three, the idea that the Dolphins did it in bad faith. You signed the deal. You don't like the deal now. Okay, well, that's fine. Whatever. But they are not. What makes you think that they are obligated to give you what you want? I argue this point with Kai is that I don't feel like that he outplayed his contract. And here is why. When he signed it, as you mentioned just a few moments earlier, he became the highest paid cornerback in NFL history. He was signed to be the highest paid cornerback in NFL history at the time he signed it. So that means that he should be playing like he's the best cornerback in the NFL. Do you not think so? So basically, every time somebody starts making more than him, he's going to start griping and complaining that he's not being paid like he's the best in the league anymore. See, that's the problem. And when people start arguing about setting the precedent and, why do you care about the precedent? Well, that's why. The market is going to reset every time somebody makes a brand new contract.
Right.
So is he going to be the guy to set his own market every other year?
Well, and Louis, let me interject on that point, because for all these fans out there who say, who cares if you set a precedent? Well, I look at some of the best run organizations of the last 20, 30 years. You don't see the Patriots doing things like this, renegotiating every year or two. I mean, the times they renegotiated with Tom Brady, it was usually Brady actually spreading it out or taking less money so they could sign more players, not the opposite. I mean, maybe not in the last few years, but for several years, I always thought the Pittsburgh Steelers were the top organization for a long time in the NFL. And they always knew when to get rid of players, not to renegotiate with guys every couple of years. They never negotiated contracts during a season. So if you're looking at the way historically the best organizations in the NFL have run, they run things the way that the Dolphins are now trying to run things.
And that was actually, I'm really glad you brought that up, because I'm going to give you an excellent example. And this is the example that I've been using ever since, again, Alfredo, brilliant football mind. I'm just going to say that. He brought up Stephon Gilmore. Stephon Gilmore, with the New England Patriots, has been griping about his contract for the past 2 seasons. He's still there. He's still playing. The Patriots seem to have no urgency to give this man a new contract. They're going to make him like, listen, play it, then we'll talk. So I don't see why the Dolphins should feel like this burning need to trade Xavien Howard, to consent to Xavien Howard, to basically give him whatever he wants. You signed the deal already. We'll talk about this later. You signed the deal in 2019. Your first year of your contract did not even kick in until 2020. The contract is essentially only 1 year old. We're not going to get into this right now. So right now he has two options. He can do this whole nonsense, oh, I'm injured, I can't actually play, which, by the way, no prospective team is actually going to buy. Like, I don't care what, because I have some folks that are saying that, oh, well, the agent's going to tell him, listen, he's only faking it because he wants out. Does that make him look better? Like, I don't feel like that would make him look better. It
No.
could make the argument like, listen, the longer he does this, the less you have to pay to get him. So maybe that's the angle they're going for. But either way, the Dolphins have no obligation to let him do anything. And by the way, if they can't prove that he has an injury, they can't put him on the injury report. So if he decides to wait out 5 weeks, then he doesn't get that accrued season on his contract and he gets to sit even longer. So it's not worth it. His best bet is to play. And then if he really does still want out and he's not willing to renegotiate after that, then we can discuss it. But right now, this is not the year. He has no leverage. That's why he's kicking and screaming so much.
So it sounds to me like you agree, and I agree as well with what Cap for Life just put on the group chat. He says, Finn's front office, hold your ground, stay the course.
Yes,
now
hold your ground. He has no leverage.
And we can agree that's the way you would handle it. That's the way I would like to handle it as well. But what's your prediction? Is that the way the Dolphins are going to handle this, or do you think they might be behind the scenes working on a master trade? I wouldn't expect him to get the same sort of haul that Laramie Tunsil got for, age reasons and contract reasons. Laramie was early 20s in his rookie deal. Xavien Howard is not. But what's your prediction? Do the Dolphins stay the course and he's a Miami Dolphin for at least one more season, or do you think he does get traded here?
I predict he's going to stay at least one more year because, like I said before, and the Dolphins have even said is like, we have no intention of fulfilling your trade request right now. And again, unless it is like a Laramie Tunsil type compensation, that's the only thing that would make me decide to part ways with him. Because right now, as it stands, they have him on a fairly decent team-friendly deal. This is a win now type of year. It doesn't help them to trade him now. If we can try to revisit this next year, again, I'll use the Stephon Gilmore argument. He's been complaining for 2 years, but he still goes to work and he still plays his best. And I honestly feel like that next year he'll be re-signing with the New England Patriots. So with the Dolphins, right now, X's feelings are hurt. He'll get over it. Wait until next year, and then we'll revisit this whole thing.
We're joined here by Louis D. Sung. I do want to get to some non-Xavien Howard related topics, but you know what we go right to? We go right to Tua Tagovailoa. Now we've got day 2 of camp in progress and day 1. Now I love Tua, but I get really tired of the Tua narratives, and I get really tired of people overreacting, good or bad, to one day of camp where, you have like the Tua truthers, the pro Tua people who just think this guy is Jesus. Talk, oh, look how much bigger he looks. And, oh, he threw a 65-yard bomb to Albert Wilson. He throws a couple touchdowns. Then you have the negative Tua guys who are like, well, the 65-yard bomb was underthrown and he threw 2 interceptions. It's like, oh, I don't know. And we've had plenty of Dolphins players in the last couple of decades that get overreacted towards. Ryan Tannehill was one of those guys, but I don't think that was even anywhere close to the Tua narrative. What are your realistic takeaways, Louis, from Tua Tagovailoa through minicamp, through the offseason, and now in these first couple days of training camp?
I feel like this is exactly where he should be. He's right on course to slowly work his way into becoming what we hope is the next Drew Brees, a left-handed Drew Brees. And again, when we make this comparison, you also have to consider the career trajectory. It took a long time for Drew Brees to become the Drew Brees that is the future Hall of Famer. So for us to be expecting him to be a superstar quarterback right off the bat, that's where it's unrealistic. To assume that he's going to bust because he's not playing right away is also an unrealistic expectation. It takes time for these guys to develop. I made the argument that when you are a gunslinger quarterback like Justin Herbert, you're going to find success quickly because when you can throw the ball so hard that defenses don't have time to react to you yet, you're going to find success early, but you're also going to make a lot more mistakes. And eventually what's going to happen is that Justin Herbert's going to start throwing some interceptions. They're going to start to catch on like, okay, this is how he does things. So maybe he still has a great season, but I'm not going to sit here and say that because Herbert is a gunslinger quarterback, maybe he's more exciting than Tua, but is he going to be better than Tua in the long term? I don't know that. There's a lot of big armed quarterbacks who start off great and then they kind of fall off later on in their career.
Joined here by Louis D. Sung from the 5 Reasons Sports Network. Good reviews so far for Jalen Waddle. Do you think he's going to end up returning kicks and punts in addition to catching passes this year?
That all depends on how well he does in comparison to like Jakeem Grant. So as soon as Jakeem Grant is going to be back out there, he's still out there returning punts. With Preston Williams on the pup, Parker on the pup. Now Will Fuller is not feeling great right now, apparently. More of these fringe guys are going to get opportunities to play. And if they can stand out, then somebody might get a little bit of an edge. Maybe Grant might beat out Preston Williams because he's still injured, he can't play and all that stuff. So we'll see what happens on that front. But I will say that I'm concerned about Waddle being a returner because I still remember what happened when Preston Williams became a returner at that one point, and he ended up getting clobbered and he wound up not playing very much. So I get concerned when they start making your first round draft pick, who is supposed to be, I think he's going to be Tua's security blanket, at least in this upcoming year. So I wouldn't want him out there returning kicks and punts, honestly. Do I think he will? Honestly, I think he will because I don't expect Grant to make the roster, which hurts me because I'm a Jakeem Grant fan. But I think that he will.
Wow, so you're the one.
I'm the only one who doesn't call him 19 looking at the extra yard guys.
And you know what the thing about me with Jakeem Grant, we have a love-hate relationship. I like him as a returner. I cringe when he's on the field playing wide receiver. Like it just special teams wise, give me that Jakeem. Receiving wise, he's a liability.
I have said, and I've said this ever since I saw Jakeem Grant play, and I will continue to say it until the day he retires, is that I would love to see if you could get Jakeem Grant to basically become Darren Sproles. Seriously. Like if the concern is that he can't catch the ball when it's zinged to him, give him little pitches here, give him a little screen pass here, and let him just get the ball in his hands however you want it to. What if Darren Sproles was known for being that guy catching passes out of the backfield, making guys miss and making plays that way? He wasn't a wide receiver. He was a running back, but he was known for catching the football just from right there. So let Jakeem Grant try that. Let him try to become Darren Sproles. He's even got the same size profile as Darren Sproles.
Louis D. Sung with us here for the 5 Reasons Sports Network. So sticking with the offense for a second. Now, obviously with the wide receiving core, I do have with certain players injury concerns. I mean, we're already seeing these first couple of days, Devontae Parker and Will Fuller having issues. But when healthy, I love this receiving core, especially the speed guys. They're going to take the tops off of defenses. I think the offensive line is improving. Does this team have enough at the running back position, though, Louis, or with everything getting better around them, is that automatically going to open up things more for the running game?
Ultimately, the better offensive line will mean better running backs. That's just a thing of that's just reality. But do I feel like the Dolphins have enough talent at running back? I would have preferred if they could get their hands on somebody. I know that Michael from the Extra Yard wants Le'Veon Bell something fierce. I do not.
I don't either.
Like we already have it. We have our own headache already. Thank you. We don't need to add another one. But there are other options out there if they really wanted to. I think Duke Johnson is still a free agent. If they really wanted to go and get him, I wouldn't mind a Frank Gore reunion. But that's just
I wouldn't either, man. I don't care how old he is. The guy can still play and he can still lead.
That's just my nostalgia talking. But if they really do want to stand pat, then this basically boils down to how good is the offensive line. So far, we're hearing mixed reviews on Matt Skura. They're saying that Michael Dieter has an actual real shot at winning the center position. I don't know how I feel about that. But as far as the other positions, apparently Austin Jackson is showing improvement. I want to hear what's happening with Solomon Kinley. I want to hear what's going on with Liam Eichenberg. And I know DJ Fluker is not playing right now, so he's having his little issues. So I guess the right tackle right now, would be Eichenberg with Robert Hunt. This is me speculating because I don't know for sure yet. I haven't actually had a chance to see it, and even if I did, I couldn't say anything. But
that's right. Yeah, well, what is it? The moratorium is till Saturday, right? Because Saturday is when fans can go in, and so everything the fans can see, the media is allowed to report on.
I don't even know if that's the case. So
really,
but yeah, we're limited on what we can say, and I understand. Listen, I get it. It's all part of the competition thing. I'm not going to complain about it. I'm just glad to be able to go back and see it because it's been a long time, and I'm going to do my best to be there as many times as I can with my work schedule and stuff. But the main point is that I feel like if the offensive line can prove that they are improved, that they've gotten better, then the running back position will improve as well. It's going to be just how would you say? It's a chain of events.
I got to ask you before we let you run for a way too early prediction on the upcoming 2021 season. I'm sure you've looked at the schedule. I'm sure you played the game we all play where you try to predict the wins and losses. How many games do you think this team is going to win? And of course, we all keep in mind 17 games this year. How many games are the Dolphins going to win in 2021?
I'm actually going to go with 10, which would probably put them in position to maybe make the wild card, but I'm not like, as much as I want this team to be improved, I think the notoriousness of this team is that they will find ways to make mistakes here and there. So just sorry, I'm kind of making things work here.
No, it's all good. I appreciate that.
So 10-7 is my official prediction, but hopefully they find ways to beat some teams they shouldn't and find ways to beat the teams that they should. So that's all I'm going to say. 10-7 is my official prediction.
Well, good stuff as always. Make sure everyone is checking out Lewis's work. Lewis, let the people know, man, where they can find you, social media, all the platforms you're on, in addition to 5 Reasons Sports. Where can people get the full Lewis Sung experience?
So I have my own show on 5 Reasons Sports called Pulse of Fins Nation, where basically the fan base gets to dictate what I talk about. So I will find comments and I will read your comments as we go along. And also you can find me on Twitter at Louis D Sung. That's LUIS, the letter D, SUNG. So that's where my official Twitter account is. And I'm going to be doing a lot of stuff. I'm going to be going to training camp on Saturday. So you guys can follow my updates from there. So it's going to be a lot of fun. I'm looking forward to this season and I can't wait to join you again here on the Donno Show.
By the way, is Saturday going to be the very first time you see the new facility, or have you taken a tour or checked it out in minicamp or anything? Because I'm looking forward to getting down there.
It's going to be the first time, so I'm looking forward to it. I'll admit that when I saw the slide, I was kind of scratching my head, but then I also had this weird temptation to kind of try to go down it myself. Not that I will, because that's unprofessional, but I can't deny the appeal that it brings.
Well, good stuff, man. Louis Sung, thank you so much. Enjoy the rest of your day, and I look forward to following you on Twitter and everything during Saturday when you're out there.
All right, you too, man.
Love it. Good stuff there. The man, he's multitasking. He's making it happen.